the new PlayStation 5 Dualsense Controller is absolutely amazing. With all of the awesome, interesting tech inside of it, it really is the most advanced controller for gaming created. However, I just don't really like the look of it that much, and I don't know, I prefer something a bit more colourful. Now, speaking of the PS5, my boyfriend actually has done an unboxing of it and a little bit of a size comparison test of it, and it's actually quite a funny video, and he's pretty funny, so I think you should check him out.
This thing is an absolute unit. Just carefully pulling off these foam pieces. Oh, undressing the sexy lady. Almost the exact same width.
But yeah, when I first saw this controller here that I am about to unbox, I actually really wanted to paint it. Now, I've done a few controller painting videos in the past, and I love doing them. They're super fun, and you guys seem to enjoy it too. So when I decided to paint this, it wasn't a very hard decision at all. So here is the controller, and to be completely honest, I don't really hate the design of it. I don't know, it's a little bit too different than what I'm used to. And yeah, as I said before, I just prefer something a little bit more colorful, but that's what's awesome about custom painting your own controllers. But you know what is not awesome about custom painting controllers? Taking the damn thing apart. Oh, especially PlayStation controllers, for some reason they are just so difficult for me. You have to like pop out different sections and then like unclip these little ribbons inside, and I'm not very good at, you know, taking tech apart, so when I have to do something like this, it is quite scary for me. But to be honest, I just watched a few different unboxing / teardown videos for the controller, and I very slowly and meticulously took this thing apart, and I made sure I was following each steps correctly because I really didn't want to break this controller that I had actually bought specifically to paint. So to start painting this, I'm actually going to be using an airbrush because I've had this airbrush hanging around and I'm really excited to actually get into it. And I kind of wanted to do a little bit of a sort of pastel / neon sort of galaxy pattern. And actually for the primer, I decided to mix a little bit of Airbrush Medium in with a gesso that I have. Now the gesso that I'm actually using is a fine gesso, it's not very coarse. So it did work pretty well for the airbrush. Now, as I said earlier, I wanted to do a bit of a galaxy pattern on this, and I decided with light colors because a lot of the time I will draw a galaxy with very dark colors, which is natural because it's space and space is a dark thing, but I really wanted to push the boundaries a little bit and do something bright and colorful to sort of, you know, change it from this like black and white thing to something extremely colorful. So for the first color, I actually decided on pink, mainly because I just really felt like doing pink for some reason, and pink is a pretty nice color too. I really like it. I just did some sort of soft wispy motions with the control here, and I really am enjoying using this airbrush. It is just so interesting, and it feels somewhat familiar for me as well, even though this is the first time I'm ever using this proper airbrush here. Probably because I have used an airbrush in the past, the Copic airbrush, but that one is quite different because it's Copic ink and it's transparent. So it was really fun for me to just, play around with this paint and see what kind of creations I can make. So now that we have pretty much all of the pink here done, I'm going in with some yellow. Now yellow is one of my favorite colors, and I really wanted to sort of push the brightness in this and just add some warm colors in there because I felt like pink and yellow would look pretty nice, and I feel like it does too, except in some parts it's sort of mixed a little bit and like had a bit of an orangey tone to it, which I didn't exactly plan for, but I actually like it anyways because it gives it this really warm sort of tropical fruity kind of feeling. I don't know, but I'm loving it. Now you see how the front piece, it actually has two different parts that come apart, but I decided to actually paint it while it was still together, mainly because I really wanted those patterns to match up, at least on the front anyways. It didn't matter to me too much if it didn't match up on the sides, because that's not overly noticeable, but when it's front and center, I really wanted those patterns to match up and try and see if I could make that seam almost disappear or at least, become less noticeable. Now after this, it was time for me to add some stars. Now the lovely thing about this airbrush is that I'm using acrylic paint mixed with Airbrush Medium, and that actually dries fairly quick because you're doing pretty light coats. So it wasn't long after I painted that I was actually able to draw in all of these stars. Now I'm just doing little dots everywhere and some sort of, sparkly shapes, and I'm using my Posca Pens for this. And these pens are my absolute favorite for details with acrylic paint. If you've seen any of my other videos, you probably have noticed that I use them quite a lot, especially in my controller videos. It's just really fun for me to use. But yeah, little stars everywhere. If you actually notice, I am trying to paint them mostly on the yellow areas, and this is because I felt like the yellow was still quite saturated and dark compared to pink, so I wanted to brighten up those areas just a little bit, and I think the stars really did help. Now I know this controller isn't as detailed as other controllers that I have painted, but that's mainly because this controller is the first actual controller that I'm painting for myself. The other ones I've done were actually controllers that belong to my friend and my boyfriend, and yeah, this one I just felt like having a sort of more simple design on it, and more of just a swirly, colorful, artistic feeling galaxy. That's just what I felt like having on there, and I think it works pretty good. Now I get a lot of questions of what I actually use to seal this, and I get a lot of questions about if the paint is going to smudge in your hands. Now I actually use this thing called Krylon Triple Thick Crystal Clear, and it is amazing because it adds this nice thick glassy strong coat on it, and I actually think it's a lacquer, which is really good because it's extremely durable and really protects the paint and just gives it this really nice shiny glossy look that I absolutely love. It sort of almost gives it a bit of depth. look how shiny this thing is. It's absolutely beautiful. So now that we've got all the painting done and dusted, here's the part that I hate the most, and that is putting all of the little pieces back together. It is so anxiety inducing for me because I have no idea if it's actually going to work. But I haven't broken a controller yet, so I think my track record is pretty good, and yeah, let's get this thing back together. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I enjoyed making it so much, and I'm really happy with my new controller. I'm definitely going to use it a lot on my boyfriend's PlayStation because I actually don't have a PlayStation 5 myself. But if you're new here, please check out my other videos. I have lots of other controller customization videos and other arty sort of crafty videos as well that I think you're gonna like. So please consider hitting that subscribe button because a surprisingly large amount of my viewers actually aren't subscribed. I'm looking at you if you're not subscribed. But anyways, I hope you all have a lovely day and I will see you in my next video. Bye everyone!